Hi everyone, I want to come on today and do this video about saying no. Because it's something I deal with a lot with burnout, because often we are people that just keep saying yes to stuff and we don't, we want to say no, but we keep saying yes, we don't know how to say no, and it causes us a lot of problems, and it gets us doing a lot of stuff we don't want to do. And what prompted me is someone asked me at work the other day, they said, why is it I can't say no? I keep saying yes. And I think it seems like such a mystery to us, which often it is. So I wanted to come on, explain it, chuck some stuff on the whiteboard quickly and show you exactly what's going on. So the first thing I always sort of say to people is we need to work out what we're feeling, because our feelings have got so much information for us. We don't want to push them away. They are, you've heard me say this lots of times, our feelings, our emotions, both the same thing. They're little packets of information and they're trying to tell us something, but we don't listen to it. So that's the first thing, we want to listen to the feeling. And when you think of saying no to something, how does it make you feel? So often, for people, and I'm just going to take a guess, and if you want to explore this further, you can always get in contact with me so we actually know what is going on for you. But if we take a bit of a guess, because the people I've coached and my experiences is we feel some sort of emotion like guilt or shame, something around those. Now, it's really important we understand these emotions, first of all, because guilt is from an action. So if we do something, it means that we've done something wrong. And the shame is that we are wrong, okay? If you want to know more about this, listen to Brené Brown. Really, she did I think it's a 6-year study on shame, and she talks in depth about it. But in short, that's what it is. And these emotions, guilt and shame, they are only in animals that are part of a pack, a tribe or troop. Because you think, if you didn't have them, you wouldn't worry about the things you did. It's almost like an automatic warning system to say, oh, careful, someone's going to think badly of you, you're going to be out of the troop, you're going to die. So it's an automatic thing. But we now think that there's something wrong with us when we feel guilt or shame, and we don't actually feel it and listen to the message it's got. So I always think it's really important, first of all, to understand why we're doing this. And a lot of everything we do or don't do is because of how we feel. And what we do is when we feel negative emotion, because it feels so shit, we try and avoid it. So if we're thinking we're going to say no to someone who will feel guilt, then we say yes, because then we don't have to feel the guilt. Okay. And so that is probably because you're avoiding some sort of emotion, which is probably guilt or shame. And if it's another emotion, please post in and we can talk through that. We can go through that. But I'm sort of guessing that's probably what it is. Now, the other thing we want to just point out is these emotions are supposed to feel bad. Guilt, shame, all of that is supposed to feel bad. Just like anxiety. Anxiety feels bad and we try and avoid it. But we don't realise it's supposed to feel bad because it's supposed to draw our attention. It's supposed to get us focused. Because if you were a little caveman or cavewoman and you were feeling guilt, that wants to feel bad because then you're going to take action to remedy that. And that's what our feelings do. They drive us towards action. So if we feel guilt, then we say we please someone, we go and please them. Then we're part of the troop, we're accepted, they think we're lovely and nice, and then suddenly, the guilt goes away. So that's what that emotion is. It is just driving you to be part of the tribe. But of course, it's not working for us now. Now, is it going away? No. Feelings like guilt and shame aren't going away. Of course they're not. They're emotions that we have. But they will reduce. I'm going to take my flip-flops off a minute because they're squeaking. So what I noticed was when I first used to ask for time off in my old job, I'd feel guilt. So then I wouldn't ask for it off. But often when we then avoid that guilt, it feels good in that sort of moment, but then we have lots of frustration because then we're doing something we don't want, but we think we don't want to do and we don't have a choice about. But what I come to realise was I created that guilt. So me putting in the leave and asking for time off wasn't creating the guilt. Because someone else might do it, as I do now, and doesn't feel guilt. It was all coming from there. It's the thoughts I was having that was creating the guilt. And that's what we want to identify. And what I learned to do was learn to recognise those thoughts. And this is what I always say is let's get separation from the fact that it's saying no that makes us feel guilt. We want to recognise that it's our thought that is creating the guilt. And then we want to learn to allow that guilt. Because what happens is we're used to responding in a certain way. So we sort of anticipate feeling this guilt. So then we say yes instead of no. Then we're doing all the stuff we don't want to do. But our brain goes, this is a winner. This is a winner because now we're part of the tribe, we're part of the group, we've survived. So we want to decondition that. And we do that by learning to allow that guilt and realise, actually, this is a trade-off. This feeling of guilt is created by me. It's only going to last 90 seconds if I allow it. And I'm going to get this trade-off of maybe more time with my family, whatever it might be. So what I want to show you is how I show this to people, and when I'm coaching them, what I use, because I think sometimes seeing it visually really helps. So, it would help if I have my pen, which I found. So what we've got, which you can see it, is a C for circumstance, a thought, a feeling, our action, and our result. Okay? So that's what we've got. Circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result. Our circumstances are the things are just the facts in life. I'm not going to go into lots of detail of this because if there's other videos I've done which cover this. But circumstances are your facts. Thoughts are the senses in your mind. Those senses in your mind create your feelings. Those feelings, as we talked about, drive you to take action. And those actions give us a result. So just say someone asks you to do something and you want to say no. So your circumstance might be saying no. Okay? Saying no. Now, if I probably said to you now, what comes up for you when you think about saying no? You might say guilt. Okay, so there we go, we're feeling guilt. If I asked you why you were feeling guilt, you'd say, well, it's because I'm saying no. But there's this step here that we're missing, and this is the important one. So what I do is say, well, you're feeling guilt, but why are you feeling guilt? What are you making saying no mean? Now, there could be lots of things, but we want to pick one thought, whatever this thought is for you. So for me, it was, I'm letting them down. Now, it could be anything. It could be people going to think badly of me, people aren't going to think I'm doing my job. I think for a lot of women in work, especially in the police, maybe there's that sense of, people are expecting this sort of standard or whatever it is. But what we've got to realise is we've got to identify this thought. So for me, it was, I'm letting them down. I'm letting, them down. Written by John Bevan, age 7. There we go. So saying no, I then think I'm letting them down and I feel guilt. So what do I then do? Then this is the good bit. Well, we say yes. Should have done a bit more yoga, trying to bend down there. So can you see then, saying no, we think, oh, I'm letting them down. And we feel guilt. So then that feeling drives us to take an action. So what we do is we say yes. Because we're letting them down, so we say yes. But then we get this result. And this result is not the result on anyone else or anything like that. So you haven't made someone happy because they've got their own model. Your result is the result you create for yourself. So what I look at is go, well, when you say yes, in this circumstance, what you're doing is you're letting yourself down. Because you may want to spend time with your family. You don't want to say yes, you want to say no, but actually you're not honouring yourself. So when in this, the result we get is you let yourself down. Okay? There we go, let self down. And this is where we then need to look at it. Because this is where all the information is, all the good stuff. Because we can see our thoughts dictate everything we get in our life, but so many of them are unconscious. We have 70,000 thoughts a day, 95% of those are unconscious. But now we can see, when I think I'm letting them down, and I feel guilty, and I say yes, I let myself down. But it's not to say you won't feel guilty. The problem is this bit. The problem is we react to that emotion, we react to that guilt, because we believe our brain that something's going to be terrible, and if someone thinks badly of us, the wall's going to come crashing in, and we say yes. So what I help people do, I help people first of all recognise that it's not saying no is the problem. But then that doesn't mean that they magically go, well, thank you very much, Johnny, now I don't feel guilt. The next stage, which is probably the most challenging for anyone being coached, is this bit. Learning to feel guilt, or any emotion. Because guilt, just like any emotion, is a vibration in your body. It's your brain calling you to action. Your brain has said, we're letting someone down here. Oh, this is awful. So now I'm going to give you this emotion. You're going to want to get rid of it because it feels terrible, and you're going to say yes. And I've won the day. And obviously, that's not in line with what we want in that moment. So what I get people to do, I get people to do things like dares of the day. And this is one of the best things. If you've got something, you go, I can't say no. We say, well, okay, let's go and say no 20 times. Ultimately, we aim for 100 over the time. But we go, let's say no 20 times. Once you've said no to people, and it doesn't all have to be rude, sometimes it can literally be just no, or no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that right now. I haven't got the capacity. It's a good word for the police, isn't it? Capacity, we all hate saying that one. That's the worst C word we've got, I think. But when we go out and we say, okay, I'm going to say no, and you know you're going to then be thinking this thought, but you're going to then allow the guilt. And what we do is then we interrupt what we call this model. Because then our brain goes, oh, maybe we haven't got to say yes. And we see that the worst thing that happens is we have this feeling. Now, word of warning, this is a decision for you. When you do start saying no, some people won't like that. Some people may have that opinion that you've let them down. But that isn't really what matters. It's your opinion that matters. And what you've got to decide is, do you want those people dictating what you're doing? They're having an opinion. Just because they have an opinion doesn't make it true. There's also the flip side that they may not think that. Because I used to coach people all the time and say, do we know that this person thinks you're letting them down? So often in this line is, they think I'm letting them down. And you go, well, do we know that? And we go, well, no. And actually, when we get into it, there's no evidence. So, for example, that example I gave of my sergeant when I was on the regional crime, and I used to have the thought I'm letting him down because I thought so highly of him when I was booking this leave in. When I actually discussed this with him, he said, no, actually, it was the best thing he could do for me. He wanted to do it because it's the one thing he knew would help me when he gave me the time off. So, this thought was a lie. And that's what some of these thoughts are lies. But sometimes people will have that opinion. But that opinion doesn't cause you any harm. But because we've got this little primitive side of us, it thinks the worst is going to happen. It thinks we're out the troop, out the tribe, we're going to die. But now it means someone's got an opinion, and it's true to them, not to us. Lovely. So, really, this is the part I do with people. I help them to recognise the thinking, work on these thoughts, because as soon as you realise that this isn't true, I'm letting them down, and you start questioning it, this belief lets go of you. Like holding a snowflake in the sun, once you bring it up to the conscious, shine a bit of light on it, it will just melt away and go. But then the bit you can't avoid is going out and learning how to feel that guilt. Because in the moment, when you're saying no, the little primitive brain, which is so much quicker and faster than your rational part of the brain, will want to take over. And we've got to get used to processing that guilt, feeling for what it is, and realising, crikey, I've been doing all this to avoid guilt. And what you'll be doing is you'll be doing so much. So you might, in your action line, you can extend that to, you've said yes, and you end up working loads more hours, taking on loads more jobs. It's giving you months of stress. So you've exchanged this short-term feeling of guilt for all that stress. And this bit lasts 90 seconds. That's the number to remember, 90 seconds. If you allow a guilt to go through you and process and feel it for what it is, it will last 90 seconds. And what happens is when you don't become afraid of this, when you say no, you don't want to do something, someone asks you, and you feel that feeling of guilt, you can recognise, it's not because I'm saying no, it's because I'm thinking this. I'm the creator of it, I'm the cause of it. And what this helps you do is, because what we all do is, we then blame people. Oh, they shouldn't be thinking this, and we don't even know if they are thinking it. I shouldn't have been asked to do this. They shouldn't ask me to do this. This is terrible. You know, they should know how much work I got on. They should know what I'm going through. The fact is, maybe they do. Most likely they don't. But this responsibility lies with us. And this is how we get the power back. And this is basically what coaching is. Coaching is identifying the thinking that is creating these feelings, that is driving us to take the action that we don't want. And once we identify it, it helps us then go through it, learn to process those emotions, change that thinking, so then we can move forward to the future that we want and not feel out of control. So I hope that makes it clearer. If you are someone and you are constantly saying yes to stuff you don't want to do, and you're fed up with being this guilt dictating and ruling your life and it having an impact on your family life, then get in touch. Because I can assure you, I've dealt with lots of people who suffer with this, and it is something that is solved relatively simply. There's a level of discomfort, but what I'd say is you're feeling discomfort anyway. You're feeling it anyway, because you're having to do weeks and weeks and months of work you don't want to do. So teach you to say this, everything changes. And what I want to say is, just because we learn to say no, people go, well, I can't say that, we'll be saying it all the time. Actually, you don't. And you become your genuine, authentic self. So when I say yes now, people know I really want to do it. Not, yeah, I'll do that. When you ask me to do that, bloody hell. Because I now know I can say no. I know sometimes it still comes with a level of discomfort, but that's from me. And what you find is then, you find the real reasons why you don't want to do stuff. So sometimes for me, I go, well, actually, I'm saying no because I don't want to stay on or something, but actually maybe that's not an issue. And then you get to choose. And this is what coaching is about, giving you back the choice. And as human beings, this is the one thing we've got. We got the power to choose in any situation, but we are just not using it. So I hope that helps, and I will hopefully see you soon. And if you've got any other sort of things that are, any sort of topics, you go, this is something that's really bothering me. Maybe it be self-confidence, maybe it be overwhelm or workload, the feeling of being overworked, lack of self-confidence, whatever it is, post in, I can do the same. And it will, I'm sure it'll help you. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.